Hey everyone, it's Matt along with Goo, and today we're going to talk about the mid-May DQ numbering event. In a lot of people's hearts, it's number one and number one, and that's right, it's Dragon Quest XI. Stay tuned, I'm just going to go over the overall event. It's going to be a pretty lengthy event, just like everything there. And I do apologize for being away, but it's been a pretty rambunctious 3 weeks for me, and I'm trying to get back into everything. So stay tuned, and hopefully you guys. All right, we're just going to kind of go quickly through all the S units in the DQ number events of Dragon Quest XI here. The first one is Jade. She is the free unit, which was very exciting for people back in December, which is actually kind of scary to think about. It's basically a Christmas gift for us. It was December 27th in Japan when we saw that Jade was the free unit. And honestly, she's one of the favorites for me for playing 11. She was always in my party. Um, and I just loved using her and other things. But all in all, she is our free unit, so you will be able to potentially give her up to 5 hearts. Most people be able to get her up to 4. Her leadership effect is reduces enemy defense by 20%. Okay, all in all, what's really nice is she gets a movement up +1 with her first awakening. Second and fourth is Crackle and Bang. She gets all status up, and so max HP +50 with Pink Typhoon and Cyclone, which is her ultimate, up 5%. And when she's attacked by martial or physical damage at 5, she can occasionally charm. It's She's not quite strong enough to really be able to take a lot of attacks, and that's her weakness and why she is not a uber powerful and a summonable unit. But it's still a pretty nice little thing that she can have, which kind of makes her a little scary, especially for free to play players that can for arena and stuff. She can really mess up a lot of well laid plans unless if you can completely nuke her out of existence. If she's at 5 hearts, she does become a little hard to do so. Her first skill, Thunder's Thrust, is just a simple 170 stat physical damage to all enemies. Her large wheel is 250 stat physical in a wheel shape. And the last one, Pink Typhoon, is a whoosh that can also occasionally charm them. And so she is very dangerous, even though it's the rarely charming. As I say, for free to play players in Arena, she can be very annoying to go against. And, as I say, since she is the free unit, grinding her is very worthwhile. Getting her to 5 hearts is very worthwhile because that charming really can mess people up. The first unit, which actually that's not Veronica, that is Seta. Uh, Maria, I do apologize for that, Elena. But Veronica's also has a very similar sprite. I'm sorry. She is the mage version of Santa Elena. I wish I actually created an animation just to click between the two. In all honesty, I highly suggest you get one or the other. Very powerful Bang and Crackle user. Her leadership effect is increases Bang spell power by 20%. That is actually can be a very useful leadership effect. It's not as powerful as a lot of others, but it still has a pretty good use. Her first skill is a lower attack power for all enemies within range. It's not a damage skill, but it does have an interesting area of effect. Next was Crystal Fall, which inflicts very heavy crackle spell damage and has the range of 3. Then Dual Einazund. Think we've had others that do this. This does a very large amount of damage. Does consume a lot of MP, but with her spell power, we do have a decent amount of very powerful bang spell users at this point, and she can become the leader of that overall. So we have hers. She could rarely spell can be cast twice in a row, with second spell damage being 50% of the first. So occasionally, on her first awakening, she can double attack, I guess, with her spell. Mostly, it's really nice with Crystal Fall and Dual Einazun. And usually, especially like in arena, that will be enough to finish an enemy off. And that is a very useful leadership effect. Even though it's only 50%, she is very powerful for her spell, and therefore still can do enough damage to really help you at that part. Citizen Frizz at 2 and 4. Um, Third is gives you a 10% of the ability to cast the twice in a row. Ultimate MP cost minus 10, which when I go through her is very important. It's another high MP usage. This is her greatest weakness is, and just like in Dragon Quest XI, her big problem is she burns through her MP pool like no one's business. Um, and also gives you the dual Einazon and her ultimate plus 5. And the same thing for 50 here. Dual MP minus 10 and Einazon up 5%. She is a very, very powerful unit, but doesn't offer a large amount of other things other than damage. But she is probably the unit to really go look for if you're looking for crackle damage or bang power as well. Second unit is going to be Erik. We all know our thieving pal, Erik. He increases physical crackle damage by 20%. Honestly, that's a interesting leadership effect. Really works well with Santa Elena. Um, and also other Killing Machine as well, if you still use Killing Machine. Not as great of a leadership effect as some of the others, but it will pick up relatively soon. So it is getting a little bit better overall. Shadow Step increases your dodge rate. This can make him fairly annoying, which is actually great. This is a great skill if you can't make it with the first one. Um, and he has a great first awakening that does it as well. He is can be potentially even more slick than Elena is right now. Um, Not quite as powerful as Elena with the blossoming, but still another very good unit. And I'm going to be honest, DQ11 doesn't have the what I would call like the SS meta class. A lot of their units are in the solidly S range. Or if you want to go S and A, they would be solidly like an A plus range. Um, Great units, not meta defining, but if you do pull them, and you especially pull their first awakening, most of them are incredibly useful and are very, very good units overall. Second one is Shinigami's Blade. Inflicts 250% physical damage, making highly poisoned and paralyzed. So high poison means envenomated and paralyzed with high probability. So this is a. I know we have him as an attacker, but to me, he seems to be more of a anti-support type unit, which is actually really really cool because he does do some pretty nice damage on top of it. Veronica is probably the best pure attacker. Erik is probably the unit that I would go for, or that not I will be going for because he has some really useful and annoying uh, skills. The only problem is I want him to be to the third heart because he that Shinigami's blade becomes absolutely insane. And that's where I really, really want him. I just don't know if I'm going to get there with him, but we shall see. The last one is Ice Rush Dance, 70% physical 4 times to all enemies. This is actually a really, really useful skill, especially for the big boss that you will see in a few minutes. And it is a pretty nice attack overall. Uh, all in all, I do like this unit. I'm not saying he is ultra powerful. I like his flexibility. I like that really, really, really unique skills that he has. That's where I'm going for. That's something that I think I can use for some big time annoyance for a lot of things. Um, his awakening skills significantly increase movement and dodge for the 3 turns. Frizz and Sizz, second and fourth. If you get poisoned by a skill, so basically Shinigami's Blade, you can change with a very powerful skill called God of Death. Gives you Ice Rate Rush +5 and Ultimate NP -10. On top of that, very, very, very interesting skill range. And 5 hearts, which would be absolutely fantastic, but honestly, doubtful for me at least. The Ice Rush and Ultimate MP and gives a poison and Mahi, which is to paralyze, success rate at 10%. Really well designed kit overall, and honestly, uh, I don't think he's for everyone. But if you build him correctly and give him everything that he needs, he can re- really turn the tides on some battles you might not really be able to sweep just because he has those abilities. And with that high movement that he has and speed, he can do some poison paralyzed trickery, which really, really does do a lot of damage overall. And with that high range as well, he can keep it away and make it relatively safe for him, along with his high dodge rates. The next one is the true big boy here, Demon Sword Fighter Psaro. Um, he has been knocked off the pedestal, but here is a really nice unit overall. So as I say, this is where people are going to be spending. Increases attack power by 15%. God Sword Slash does 200% physical damage to one enemy with a huge range. And non elemental, Garen's Magic Sword inflicts absolutely heavy frizz, non reflective spell damage that's based on attack power. So, let me just go over this real quick for the first time. He's still based on attack, but instead of worrying about defense, and this is kind of double edged here, it is a spell power that's based off his attack, and it is non reflective. So even if someone has a shield, it will not get reflected. So if you can weaken Frizz magic, Demon Sword Fire Psaro will go through there. And there are some enemies that have really high defensive stats that could defend, or and are not nearly as strong in magic and works that way. But it's also a double-edged sword. If you lower the enemy's unit's defense, it will not play a role into Garen's magic sword for damage. The last one is Dark Matter. That is the correct number. 400% physical damage on an enemy and reduces attack with high probability. It's only one unit, but this basically is the nearest to a guarantee with lowering attack. Incredibly useful skill. Does massive damage, non-elemental, and Demon Sword Fire Psaro just does a massive amount of damage. He also is very much like our initial power, where he increases attack, defense, and evasion instead of other things for 3 turns on odd turns up to turn 10. So he becomes much harder to hit overall. And as I say, most people are going to pile onto Psaro. I cannot disagree. I think Erik is kind of the one unit that might be able to counter Psaro if you play it correctly, just because of the fact of how he plays. There are other units, obviously, that can do it as well, but that's kind of where I'm going for Erik. There we go. Nope, that's Laura Shadows. We're not done with that. So on his first, he actually gets most of his power overall. That's the nice thing about Psaro, unlike our previous, where all five were really, really, really important. This one here, the first one is where you kind of can be okay and stop. Um, the others do make him more powerful, but in all fairness, they're not needed. And this increased attack, defense, evasion is where you'll get most of your bang for your buck. So just getting him and then buying him with shards is a okay. He gets whoosh and Zam for the next 25, first 2 and 4. Third one gives you dark matter plus 5%, which just really, really adds on to the damage. And he has the 20% or less HP. Then he gets his physical and spell power by 1.5x, which, at that point, dark matter and magic swords start really, really laying on the damage thick. So do not ever leave him with a little bit of HP in arena. He will destroy you. And the last one is dark matter plus 5% in MP recovery. That MP recovery is really important for Psaro, but it's not worth going all the way through 5 hearts for him unless if you are super, super saving. The last one is the Lord of Shadows. Increases Zam physical power by 20%. Just to kind of go through here. If Dark Matter was Zam, it'd be absolutely insane. But instead, we have a Lord of Shadows here. It's a little surprising that they didn't play a role into making both combo. But I know why they made Psaro's non-elemental. Otherwise, he'd be just too strong. The increases Zam power physical by 20% can be useful. But all in all, it's a little too specific, but it's still pretty high up there in leadership effects. As a unit, he is really, really great. And people are going to look at his kit and go, "Mad, why aren't you saying that he's number one out of this group?" It's because he is just too slow. So let's just go through this quickly. Crimson Mist, you can see this insane skill range, and he has that for all of it. Significantly increases damage taken for 3 turns to all enemies. This is actually a pretty nice leadership effect. You bring him up there, cast on that, and next turn, especially if you've got really fast units coming along, they can take advantage of that and start really ripping them apart. Silver Spark does 240% zap physical damage to all enemies with 91 MP consumption. And Dark Break in the X Factor here instead of the square does 290% Zam physical damage to all enemies and can lower his Zam resistance on top of that for 3 turns. So, all in all, he's also a really good unit. And in all honesty, if you get any of these 4 units, they're all fantastic. They are all rated very, very highly. But personally, I think Psaro is the one to really go for. Or if you want to be a little obtuse, Erik is another good one. And I'm probably going to be going for 2 of them, just hoping that I get really lucky with Erik. Beginning battle lowers damage 50% 3 times, up to 99 turns. But in all fairness, if you have a battle that long, I don't think you're worrying about damage anyways. So that is a very interesting, and also remember, annoying if you ever face him in arena. Bang and zap resistance at 25%. Then you've also got Dark Break power 5% for his third one, and increases damage dealt for the first 3 turns. And along with Crimson Mist, that does add up really, really quickly. And the last one is just Dark Break power plus 5%. Not a very large 5th one. This one here, the third one's by far the absolutely most insane, with the first one being the most annoying, or very, very good if you have him for that. Very interesting unit, and these are going to be very interesting reviews that I have to go through. So there is a bunch of farmable monsters for DQ11, and I'm just going to go through all of them, and they are in order after Jade. Jade has these similar missions that we've seen before for the last couple, especially for Die. But now what we're going to be seeing is very similar here for that, and they'll have their own screen, be pretty easy to identify. and really they're almost carbon copy of MAM's missions, so we know exactly what to expect here. Uh, for the farmable monsters, the first one leads it, which is going to be Dora, most likely here. But I'm doing the Japanese translations, not the American or global, I should say. Complete Chapter 4, Episode 4, and Very Hard, obviously, is the best, was the best in Japan. If they mess around with the global rates, that might change, but almost always Very Hard is the way to go. Meltoa here, second one is Complete Chapter 2, Episode 4, Very Hard. Merman, our first B unit here, Chapter 3, Episode 4. Magic Lips is Chapter 2, Episode 3. Lump is at Chapter 1, Episode 3. And Matango, our mushroom, at the end is Chapter 1, Episode 2. So they're all actually really easy to farm. You will see their pictures to the side. It is very, very similar to what we've seen here. And yes, I know I've got an awful lot of things going on that I need to get done still. I haven't even collected my rewards yet. Um, but just looking through the events here, it's going to be very similar to what we've seen for like the mass ones here. Um, where you can identify which enemies and which items you can farm. You'll just see them over on the left hand side. Dragon Quest XI Labyrinth is a 20 stage to complete. The 10th layer is going to be one of the hardest for the Jade missions overall. Personally, I think they did a really nice job of making Jade probably gettable for most of the people out there. The 11th layer and beyond will net you Veronica medals. And the 11th stage will get you the silver orb, which is needed to get to the Altar of the Sky special mission, which is going to be one of the hard battles. I'm actually not going to cover it. But all in all, the Labyrinth is going to be something you'll spend like the first couple of days on, complete, and then get out of there. The super giant boss battle, Lord of the Shadows, is coming here, so it's going to be the same battle that we've had for like 4 or 5 times now. I can't actually remember. So just some pretty quick tips here. We're going to want to bring units that can hit large AOE and multiple times as well. Stage 11 and above will drop an S level armor. So that's at least the area you want to go to. Interestingly enough, its AI behavior is pretty fixed. I'm not going to go through it here. It's actually a pretty lengthy fixing here. But you won't be as surprised as some of the RNG parts of some of the others. It will follow a pretty set path. Crackle, Bang, and Zap units are going to be your key, which unfortunately is my weakness. For like large damage, I do have some of the earlier Zap units. Bianca is going to be by far my most important unit out of all of them. Old Man, I do have as well, but I am unfortunately missing the units that I'm missing are mostly in this range. You can also do Santa Elena as well. And any of the Dragon Quest XI units too will do very good damage against a giant boss battle. Did not include those, so here's that. But Santa Elena can also do some pretty good damage as well. With, as I say, these big boss battles are usually designed for especially for the heroes of the Dragon Quest XI. And Frizz resistance is very, very important. They don't have the greatest Frizz resistance, that's why they're not on here as the best. But they are the next line down for the Dragon Quest XI. But all of these units here, I would say, are the best S units to go against in there because they do resist Frizz very, very well. The Demon King threat. So there are, and I'm going to kind of go through this. The main one here is going to be boss here. I will go over him specifically. Then the others I'll just show some parties for, as they are fairly simple stages at this point of the game. All these bosses are battles are 0 stamina. You will get medals of Camu, or however that we're going to have them translated by clearing these missions, and you can get a own purpose enchantment or enhancement level books and a rainbow orb from these medals. There are specific missions. We can go through that. For Del Kadar, who's got 32,300 HP. One of them is 5 turns. You're going to have to plan to kill it in 4. It's so far away, can't hit it most likely on turn 1. Really, really annoying in that regards. Jessica is, and I hate to say it, an incredibly important unit because if it reaches HP below 30%, you'll heal half of its HP, or roughly half. It's around 16,100, which is basically half of its units, or half of its HP. And it will basically not allow you to get to the final mission completed. It has a non-elemental attack, so be careful of it. That's why we have a tank here to kind of take it out. The party should be for all missions. These 4 were enough to do it in Japan. I had Clary as well. But really, the main unit here is Jessica. The rest of them help them get low enough in time, and you actually murder them with on turn 5 with the final one to go there. Dark God Repthorn also played a pretty important role as well, and Veronica was there just to help out with damage. The other bosses, Snowfield uses Bang and Sap skills, protect from Crackle. Here is a free-to-play, and the rest of these can be done pretty much with free-to-play units. And these are kind of what we're shown what were used. They are S classes, but they were all farmable. Jade is the most important and the leader of it, so these were kind of designed to get her in play. Daharoon bring Bang and Zap skills, protect from crackle, stop, and movement. Pachat was first swoosh and zap and protect against Bang and swoosh. The Underground Labyrinth, Bang and Zap skills, protect against crackle. But as you can see here, Baran, Jade are kind of the key ones, and Lisa as well. And then you kind of mix and match here for the rest, but they were all beatable and getting all the rewards with free-to-play units. Finally, we're just going to go through the battle roads. There are 3 battle roads for this one, and it is annoying for me because I'm having trouble getting through some of the battle roads just because I can't always have them clicking anymore. But we have Jade's, and it actually has most of the. Sorry, mess that up. Jade has the most important one, I feel, because it has 4 of the 7 new units that you can level up. And also Jade, as I say, is I think the most important unit you want to level up. The next one's Meltoa, where you can bring in Veronica. And this is the unit that also can be summoned along with Veronica. The last one's lead set, which is Erik, and the unit that goes along with Erik. So, all in all, this is the series. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to do my best to get my unit for Veronica up before she is there, before she is summonable, but it should be done before the end of this weekend. So I hope you guys do enjoy, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.